You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So, with many of the closures of the pandemic, right, one of the ones that I'm happy I can do is get a pedicure. And I haven't for a while. I don't know if either of you have recently or how often you even frequented your nail salons.
I mean, I certainly haven't had a pedicure since, God, maybe 2019, and my feet are busted.
Oh.
Busted.
I'm a good, every 2 months, probably.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I would normally do it throughout the summer, like sandal season, and then not really in the winter. But I haven't been in over a year.
Yeah, so I hadn't been in a while, and I went into my local, as I like to call it, and I always forget the wonderful atmosphere of how much I love sitting in a nail salon with a whole bunch of other women. And when I came in yesterday, Barbara Streisand's The Mirror Has Two Faces.
Oh, I love the movies that they play. Yeah.
Yes, it was playing. And I came in, I guess, at the end, which I don't think is much of a spoiler. I came in at the... Have either of you seen it?
Not since it came out, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think I ever have, which I feel bad about because now I've seen the ending. So I sat down.
You might have done it right.
Yeah, maybe. And I was in the scene where Barbara Streisand does her big makeover, which, oh my God, who doesn't love a good makeover? And of course, this is pretty good makeover. And the two women beside me were just having the best time. They were two friends on the older side. So their comments were different than anyone else's would have been. They were just really like, oh, Barbara has always had the most beautiful eyes. Don't you think that, Sue, or whatever? Yes, I have. And her hands, have you ever looked? And it was so fun. And my feet were soaking. And then we finished The Mirror Has Two Faces, which, just let me tell you, turns out well. So,
does the salon make you a nice tea as well?
Well, I can't drink tea right now because of the masks. We're all in masks and the guards up between us, right? The plastic sheets, right? And generally, I like to also read a stack of old beauty magazines, but they can't put out any magazines right now because we can't touch the things. So, there's a lot going on still that way. But just reminding everyone also that, this was a hard hit for all of those salons. And if you want to get out there, like these ladies that own these places really need us. I can tell they know me by name, which is a weird thing. But you know what? We all have, and I don't even consider it a luxury, let me say, and I'm sure I've said that before on the podcast here before, a pedicure, clean up those feet,
Proper nail and foot care is actually really important. And it's weird that you bring this up because noting how busted my feet looked, but I'm not in a place yet where I'm going into a lot of or any let's face it, anywhere, but eventually I will, and I'm really looking forward to that. However, I was like, I can't let this go on. This is my feet are so tragic, and I popped into Shoppers to pick up a couple things, and they happen to have those really hard, heavy duty foot files on sale.
Like the ones that look like cheese graters?
I didn't get that one because apparently if you use that, it can be it can kind of make the calluses grow back. It's kind of too rough on the calluses if you're doing it at home by yourself. So, but I got a heavy duty like, basically like sandpaper attached to a wand.
Thanks for making that sound with your hands for us. That's very necessary.
We're a podcast. It's a visual medium, as we all know. And so my demonstrating the various sounds is important. Anyway, so I got this, but I also decided that I would get some of those, those like they're really popular, those Shoppers Drug Mart sort of packs. Like they've got like face and they've got feet and they've
They're
got
in the
like
little envelopes. You mean those ones?
Yes, the little envelopes and stuff like that. So I've never used the exfoliating one because I've heard that if you use that, basically you're shedding skin for like 5 days.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
But I need to do it, and I just have to be prepared to wear socks that catch all my skin, which is disgusting. However,
I've done it and it's gross.
Yeah,
I won't do it again.
I just have to do it now because like it's so bad. Like I actually like when those situations where you're just like you're too embarrassed to show some body part of yourself when you like as if like okay, this isn't me, but like I have heard other people like when they're going to like get like their legs like waxed or something, or their like bikini line waxed or whatever, they'll do their own little trim first because they're too embarrassed about how much hair they've grown and it's too much to show the person who's like gonna groom you. Like I need to pre-groom my own feet for 6 months before I can set foot in a nail salon. Like
they've
that's
seen
just where
worse.
I'm at.
Come on. They're professionals.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I would have to like hire like an Uber professional who actually also has a medical degree. It's just it's terrible. Anyway,
that said, can I say my foot related thing?
Yeah.
Please. We all have feet stuff this week.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, no matter how great your feet look, I wish people would stop Instagramming pictures of their feet. I don't like it.
I
mean at the
hate it.
beach and things when they
Yeah,
it's true.
Honestly, I hate every picture that I see on Instagram of people's feet.
I know.
I hate it. I don't mind looking at your shoes, but I don't want to look at your toes at any point. I just don't like it. I don't like it at all.
No, because like I follow an Instagram account and I won't name the person, but the other day this person Instagram put us.
Can you imagine? You're just having this conversation with Lisa while we're all in like this virtual space looking at each other, and it gets more and more awkward the longer you go on.
It was one of those things where she was taking a picture of something but it was like looking down, and so captured her feet as in part of the photo, and it was not supposed to be a picture of her feet, but all I could look at were how like oddly shaped her feet were. Now that's all I can think of when I think of her. Like it's like,
and were they cleaned up? Did she have a pedicure or anything? Or
it wasn't like, no, but it wasn't about that. It was about like how, how when some people are younger, like this happened to my mom, and you wear high heels or tight shoes and it kind of really warps your feet. And like my mom has bunions because she wore high heels when she was younger. Mm-hmm. But so like this is like a little bit of bunions, a little bit of like weirdly crooked toes.
Okay, well that people should know better than to photograph their feet.
I know. I just
I can't even believe I'm gonna say this, but like and so I don't want to look at pictures of any feet, perfect or imperfect at all. But I also like think that people, if we're gonna have foot photos, isn't it better to have a spectrum of like perfect to imperfect feet? Like, is it not better to sort of see the real and raw and? See,
I'm that person that believes that you should dance as if someone's watching. That's my philosophy. So I'm not a real let it all hang out. Let's just see what that. Why should I be ashamed of my feet? Well, I'll give you 5 reasons. 10, actually.
Each toe.
Yeah. So why not? Like, this is supposed to be, like, I mean, and let's be honest. Like, people say, you can't believe anyone's life on Instagram because they always just try to make it look so perfect. And that's why I'm on Instagram. Like, I think there's a role for each of the social media platforms that we use. And hey, guess what? I don't care if you put no filter. Use a filter. Oh my God, they've got like 15 of them. Why would you not use them? They look better.
This went in a different direction than I ever thought it would go. No, that's great. I love it. I mean, this is why the great sort of like equalizer is a nun's habit. What a segue. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And we're all putting on our habits right now. We are talking Sister Act.
Yeah. And gosh, it seems to have taken a long time to get to Sister Act, hasn't it? I guess it's because
I was actually just thinking, how have we not done Sister Act already?
Yeah. I had forgotten about it as a movie, period.
Yeah, I guess I never really, I mean, this is part of our musical twofer, like 2 months of musicals. But I don't know if I ever really considered, I mean, I guess it became a Broadway musical, but I never really thought of it. Is it technically called a musical?
It did become a Broadway musical.
Yeah.
And here's I have also
but then
received...
so did the New Testament. So you never know what's going to happen.
You never
right?
know what's going to happen. Yeah. No, I received this challenge from at home, in my own home. Carlos, my husband, big fan of the podcast, which is great. He like listens faithfully almost the second it drops every week. And he came out of the bedroom one day and he said, "Is Sister Act really a musical?" And I said,
well, that's one of the things I was going to bring up this evening as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that seems
I made a slight adjustment in how I've decided to think about these 2 months, is that it's musicals and musical movies.
And Christian comedies.
Last week for sure, Mamma Mia, ultimate Christian comedy. That actually is Mary Magdalene at the Star. She's the Donna character. It's a music movie. It's a movie about music. I know it's not an official musical in the traditional sense.
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
You know how I knew? I was like, I'm enjoying this movie. I'm barely noticing. The music is so seamless. It's like part of the story. There's no 10-minute solos from characters I don't care about with lyrics that don't make any sense. This is awesome. And then I thought about it and I was like, this might not be a musical.
Yeah. There's no... The music isn't, just sort of detracting from the story. You're right. It is part of it. I mean, there's a lot of blasphemy in it, I would say. I
show up for the blasphemy. That's what I showed up for originally. Yeah. It's what I'm here for now still. We should, before we get into sort of our own, outside of that incredible review of this movie, let's talk about some background and some synopsis. I'm happy to do some background here. Sure. Sister Act is it an American Christian comedy film? Okay.
That's what it says in Wikipedia.
Well, I mean,
and I know Wikipedia isn't always totally correct, but that's what it says.
Well, if the goal of Christianity is to convert, I think we're all ready to move in. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna love a great choir in a church. Anyway, so film directed by Emile Ardolino, who directed Dirty Dancing. Now, I mean, that I would not say that I tracked any of the same sort of visual style at all. Like, Dirty Dancing is such a iconic. Like, the direction, I think, is actually kind of like iconic in Dirty Dancing. I would not say Sister Act had the same sort of similar direction. So that's interesting to me. I still loved it, but those seem like separate things to me. Although maybe Dirty Dancing is actually a Christian Christian dancing musical as well. I don't know. Written by Paul Rudnick under the pseudonym Joseph Howard, with musical arrangements by Mark Shaman. It stars Whoopi Goldberg as a lounge singer forced to join a convent after being placed in a witness protection program, and features Maggie Smith, Kathy Najimy, Wendy McKenna, Mary Wicks, and Harvey Keitel phoning it in. Sorry, I added that.
If you need a gangster, though, it's either that or Al Pacino. I mean, right? I mean, what do you?
It was a lot. Yeah.
But so it says that like that guy wrote it under a pseudonym, and it was because like a bunch of people worked on rewrites of it, and he didn't feel comfortable putting his name on it. Like Nancy Myers did a rewrite of
Took
it.
a spin on it.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I mean, I can see that. It does feel like the work of many hands on some level. So I can, but it was a huge hit. Like, it's one of the most financially successful comedies of the early 90s. 231 million worldwide. Like, that's incredible. So Sister Act like has spawned this whole franchise. Sister Act 2 came out in 1993. They turned it around in a year after Sister Act came out. Like, that's how successful it was and how quick it was. And then the musical hit Broadway in like 2006.
Wow. Did you know that in 1993, Whoopi Goldberg became the highest paid actress in Hollywood for Sister Act 2?
Wow.
I'm happy to hear that, because she definitely was the star for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's incredible to think that, 1993 was a world in which Whoopi Goldberg was the highest paid actress. Like, what? It's like a different Hollywood world that has come about since then. Like, first of all, female comedian being the highest paid actress,
and the female Black comedian. Like, yeah, like, that's wow.
But she was an Oscar winner by then, so.
I mean, that's the thing. She can swing from drama to comedy. It's like, it's incredible.
What does she do on The View? Is that considered comedy, or is that?
Honest to God, I think she's doing the Lord's work on. Like, that's a real act of service.
She's actually an EGOT winner.
I know that because of 30 Rock, obviously. Isn't that where EGOT came from? Did they make it up, or was EGOT? Didn't they?
Lisa, for those at home, tell us what EGOT is.
That means you've won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. So those are the four biggest, I guess, show business awards. I mean, you could say you won a Screen Actors Guild and the Golden Globe, and everyone would be like,
But it's only like 15 people have done it or something. And she's won an Emmy for The View, a Grammy for Best Comedy Recording, an Oscar for Ghost, Best Supporting Actress, and a Tony for being the producer of Thoroughly Modern Millie.
That's so cool. And Thoroughly Modern Millie is such a fun musical. Like, Whoopi's got her hands in so many things.
Oh my gosh. Also, I read an article about how she loves to collect vintage china and have people over at her house for tea. And so she can put out all her china.
Can you imagine being invited to Whoopi Goldberg's house to have tea on her cool china?
If she's listening, anytime, anytime, anywhere, any moment, I will definitely just jet out to you, Whoopi.
What a dream. What a dream.
What a dream.
Would one of you like to read the synopsis of Sister Act so everyone knows what we're talking about?
I will. When Reno lounge singer Dolores Van Cartier, played by Whoopi Goldberg, sees her mobster boyfriend Vince LaRocco, wow, that's a name, commit murder, she is relocated for her protection. Set up in the guise of a nun in a California convent, Dolores proceeds to upend the quiet lives of the resident sisters. In an effort to keep her out of trouble, they assign Dolores to the convent's choir, an ensemble that she soon turns into a vibrant and soulful act that gains widespread attention.
I really loved, I had forgotten, so I haven't seen this movie since maybe it came out. Like, it's been a long time. And I had forgotten how perfectly they nail that sort of Reno lounge singer vibe. Like that medley of performances. Because it goes on for like a while. Like it's the first 5 minutes of the film.
Yeah, I agree. Was that, I guess, to get us into the feeling of... And that's her singing, right? It is her singing?
Yeah, Whoopi's doing all her own singing in the movie.
Yeah.
And I remember she sang in Cinderella, Brandy's Cinderella. Like she, you know, I really appreciated spending so much time in that lounge act to sort of, and especially watching the way Whoopi interacts with the other singers who are her sort of backup singers as well. Like she knows what this audience is. She knows that it's tragic. Like it's
not even Vegas, it's Reno.
I know. And she's funny without being like, without sort of stealing all the energy from the actual act of the singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what I thought was really funny too, because of it's, I guess, I know it's 92, but this trope that they used to have 80s, 90s, when somebody was about to want to what's the right word I'm looking for? Have a romantic dinner. So in that Barbara Streisand movie, when her husband comes home, it's that white table with the china and the stemmed glassware and candles. And then I came home and watched Sister Act, and she is doing the same thing. She's got that whole table set up, and it's like, man, there was like, I don't blame someone for not wanting a writing credit on that. Like, it's just, okay, how do we indicate that she was trying to put on a romantic dinner? I don't know. I was watching The Mirror Has Two Faces last night.
No, but The Mirror Has Two Faces, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I think it's 94. But regardless, I think it's 2 years after Sister Act. I don't know for sure, but in my brain, I'm just like, 94. I don't know for sure. But regardless, I know what you mean. Like that's
96.
96
okay.
Even.
All right.
Oh yeah, because Celine and Barbara do a song for The Mirror Has Two Faces. Their duet together.
Well,
I
it's
believe,
on
right?
Netflix, so I will be watching the proceeding. However, I know exactly what happens. But you know,
all right, fair.
How do you go wrong with Pierce Brosnan, Jeff Bridges, and Lauren Bacall? I mean, like,
yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like, but in terms of like the like the trying to inject romance into a kind of slightly seedy Reno hotel, when you know you're obviously having an affair with like a married man is also incredible, and it's Harvey Keitel.
And
like,
you get his wife's purple mink coat out of the deal. I mean,
with
if
her
that
name
wasn't
on it.
with her name, yeah.
Well,
it's a lot to notice, but that's another one of those tropes that we don't. I mean, thinking of watching Goodfellas, and it was about buying your wife a fur coat. You know, like this movie feels 80s. Can we just say that? Like, I know what you're saying. Yeah. And I guess 92 is enough 80s, but it feels, if you'd said to me it was like 1986, I would not have been surprised.
I also felt that there is the trope of like just like the comically stupid gangster characters.
Yes.
That like this is it was interesting because when you read about it, like it's a Disney made it as a family movie, and that's why in part why it was such a blockbuster hit. Like families love this movie, even though gangsters shoot somebody early in the film. And when you think, I was thinking that made me think about like other movies of that era where they also had like comically bad gangsters, but there were also family films like Goonies, Adventures in Babysitting. But like that was a thing in the 80s.
We had that
90s.
problem with Adventures in Babysitting with the Playboy cover. We were like, is this a family movie? You know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think Home Alone too, right? Like Home Alone is like
violent.
So violent. And yeah, and I mean, when you say that there were so many writers, it actually really, to me, makes a lot of sense. Or even, oh my gosh, sorry, I know I'm jumping all over, but remember when I said I watched 3 Men and a Baby?
Yeah,
and it has
there
like
you go.
it has a whole middle like crime section that like has nothing to do with really the film at all. That like, I mean, I know they have to get her into witness protection. And I know that they need to sort of make these men as bumbling as possible so that it sort of saps the real sort of threat, so kids aren't going to be scared. They're going to like find the bad guys funny, and they're you know, they know she's going to be okay and stuff. And so I get that to a certain extent, but like Disney also continuously just kills like parent figures in films.
Gotta kill the mom all the time.
They torment kids at every level. So you can like make a bad dude just like 10% less buffoon.
Yeah. But I find that because family movies have changed so much that kids today are very shocked when they see family movies from the 80s and 90s. Like my nephews, like they're not used to seeing people get shot,
whacked in a nightclub. Really?
Yeah. Like, and they can't.
They're not watching The Sopranos. I mean, come on.
No, we tried to watch Goonies with them over the summer, and immediately, like, they were just like, nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they also have a lot of more options than, you know.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So had either of you seen Sister Act when it originally came out?
No.
No, I came to it later. I watched it, but I've never seen it. It was my
This was your first time?
Yeah.
It's a boring movie.
Well, it is. It's very predictable.
It's just that, you know, I was sitting here thinking, that like there's nothing more boring almost than a chase scene in movies because there's no stakes, right? Like if you're watching a chase scene in Mission Impossible or James Bond, you know, they're not going to die, right? Like I guess what we're all waiting for is how they're going to like upturn an apple cart or, you know, drive a car into like a bazaar. That's usually what happens. But what embarrassed me about this movie, and I shouldn't feel embarrassed, but that's the only word I can think of, is when Whoopi runs away through the kitchen and then they do it again. Now, was that meant for comedy that she's running through the same kitchen past the same guys in a similarly boring chase scene?
Maybe.
I mean, if it's meant for comedy, they didn't quite nail it.
No, they did not. But did you notice that it was? Yes. Yeah, you did notice. See, it's even worse that you noticed. And then when we get the final scene where, you know, Whoopi is kidnapped by the bad guys, the music playing was like boop-a-dee-bop-bop-a-doo. So there were no stakes. You knew that nothing bad is going to happen because we're like playing some sort of sax jazz number. Like it was like Benny Hill all of a sudden, you know, just madcap adventures until that poor nun gets thrown out the car, but whatever.
I thought she ducked and rolled pretty well.
Someone who's never ducked and rolled out of a moving car.
Yeah, she did a great job. So like, I mean, like I don't personally find the movie boring, but I do think that it's so much more interesting in the nunnery, and like when we're sort of with like watching a bunch of different women sort of come together and form community within their community. Like I found that really great. And I also I love watching a choir be brought together. That's actually one of my weird sort of film quirks. I will watch anything that has like a choir that previously had not been able to sing in tune.
Right.
Be brought into tune. That, oh my God. Love
okay,
it.
One of my secret passions is a montage of cleaning up a crime-ridden neighborhood.
You're lying. I was sincere. You are lying.
No.
I mean, I did think it was, you know, with Whoopi in that role, I think that they made some interesting points about white supremacy and white fragility and gentrification and just community and being in
Well,
on the ground floor and being with people. Like, I think they did a good job sort of making very subtle deliveries of like actually like not cleaning up the neighborhood necessarily, but in terms of sort of like, you can't lock yourself away behind walls. You actually have to do work with the community in order to have them invest in
Tell
you.
Maggie Smith that.
well, there's
want
some
to.
question as to how intentional that was, because originally Bette Midler was supposed to star in this movie, and it wasn't changed. Like, the character wasn't changed when Whoopi was cast, but of course, because she's Black, like the whole like aspects of the story can, like the way we read them, completely change.
Yeah.
But she adds specific lines that really that really like address the fact that she is a Black woman, right? Like she anchors specifically like I can't remember what the specific lines are, but at least like 2 or 3 times she like references herself as a Black woman in opposition to sort of like that like Maggie Smith's very rigid like whiteness, and like sort of the white saviordom of Christianity sort of is juxtaposed against you're sort of sitting here like high above a bunch of people in this neighborhood and talking down to them. Of course, like nothing is going to change. Like, you're not actually building community. You're not like ministering to people the way that, I think like you're, again, not a religious person, but mostly because of, I think, a lot of the hypocrisy that I've observed in certain things with regards to religion. But like, it seemed like Whoopi's character, and maybe it's like in Whoopi's reading of that character and like adding maybe some of her own perspective or lines, or where the rewrites came in, I'm not really sure, but it just seemed like she was able to really sort of like give an underlying message to the film that like definitely obviously would not be there in Bette Midler playing that role.
According to like the wiki page, Bette Midler turned down the role ultimately because she thought her fans would not like seeing her in the role of a nun.
I kind of agree with her, actually. Like, I've seen Bette Midler in concerts, and like recently, like not 25 years ago when I was 17. I mean, in the last 10 years, I have seen Bette Midler in concert, and she's like she, remember in Beaches when her character is doing like a lot of sort of like really kind of like burlesque, more risque humor and stuff like that. Like that's a lot of, that's in Bette Midler's stage shows to this day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like a lot of people thought it was an interesting comedic role for Whoopi Goldberg because she plays mostly like the straight person character in this movie. She's like, and the nuns get to be like the comedic characters, and that's a little unexpected.
Also unexpected was when one of the nuns referenced her really nasty past and said Vancouver. That she was in the woods where they had no electricity, and so they were barefoot. Do you remember that scene with? Yeah,
I do.
Vancouver,
I do.
She says.
I do. I mean, she could have meant Vancouver, Washington, because we all know that's
okay, fair.
The lesser Vancouver.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think it is interesting for like Whoopi Goldberg to take a role that like, but playing the straight person still allows her to sort of be funny because she's like kind of always reacting to the world of the nuns. Like Kathy Najimy, so I love Kathy Najimy. And I will say, like, at that time, she like absolutely was a visibly fat actress. And so giving her the role of Jolly Nun, which we all know Jolly is code for fat. I don't love it, but I love this performance of that jolliness. Like, she does such a good job. Sweet. Like, she's so, well, yeah, she's so sweet. Yeah. But she's like so enthusiastic and like so fun. And And I think she does such a great job sort of like embodying it without playing up all the typical tropes that you would see a fat woman being tasked with, because she's wearing a habit. Like, the habit
is the great equalizer, as you said.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
No, I can...
I want all of us in muumuus all the time. This is my dream scenario.
No problem.
No, yeah. No complaints at all. At all. No, and I did, I mean, like you said, I think there was a chemistry between all of the women that was really genuine and sweet. And I really loved that. I would have even liked, as a totally different movie I'm describing now, though. We only really got a sense of, I guess, the novice nun, because she didn't have a habit yet. I guess she was like on her way. But we got a little bit of a backstory from her about the call, and it would have been fun to have, you know, if it had been a different movie, to have spent more time with the nuns and their relationships rather than this boring chase scenes through kitchens twice, and then a useless helicopter scene, a useless scene running around a casino. For no reason at all.
Other than to make me miss casinos, guys.
Yeah, and then for them just to go out the door and not even get away, and then have a stupid, like, I just feel like there was like all kinds of things. Like, I actually liked when they went to the bar, which was very funny.
I love that bar sequence.
That bar scene was so great. And what I also really loved, and I can't quite figure out time here, but when all of the denizens of the bar go over to the church because they hear the singing, do they stay at that bar till 11 a.m. or like, what is the like?
So here's the neat thing. I'm just going to make up a fact about Chicago. Bars open at 6 a.m., close at 5 a.m., and there's that one sacred hour, and that's it.
Okay, so but this was in San Francisco.
Oh, sorry, not Chicago, San Francisco. So instead, yes, I'll make up a fact about San Francisco. Bars are always open 24 hours.
You're making up a fact? So yes. It's not a fact?
It's not a fact.
But
okay. I wanted to make it work for the film.
Okay, yeah. Because they seemed like they were just, I don't know, were they showing up to the bar at 11 a.m. or were they just coming out of the bar? Like, I don't know, when does Catholic Mass start?
I don't know.
Like,
different times.
Is it like at 1 or 2 or? Still,
no, they're usually kind of early.
They should be early. So these people
You're
were just
asking the wrong folks.
Yeah, you are. I know. Anyway,
I mean, that's the thing. In the 6 weeks that I worked graveyard, when we got off at like 8 a.m., we had an hour that we had to wait until the canby opened. So
that's very hardy of you.
Well, I had 6 weeks on the graveyard shift until I was able to get off of it. It's
You sound like you are just about to be able to write a country song there.
So close. Yeah. To get off the graveyard shift, well, you still have not had to like resort to cocaine, I think is the dream scenario for everyone.
Red Bulls? Were you a big Red Bull or?
You know, actually at the time I did enjoy Red Bull, but you couldn't get it legally in Canada, but they would import Thai Red Bull. I can't believe I didn't die. Like, honestly, I mean, I'm making fun of like cocaine, but like basically like,
I have a nipple under my arm now, but you know what? Who doesn't, right?
I've always thought I could use, actually, that's such a weird segue, and you can feel free to cut this if you need to after, but this week, for whatever reason, we decided to, because my grandma's watching Fantasy Island, like old Fantasy Island.
I'm getting really nervous about how you're going to segue off a nipple onto something, but
it's actually related to third nipples. We started watching the James Bond.
Oh, yeah, the man with the golden gun. He has a third nipple.
Gun. His whole thing is he has a third nipple.
Mr. Scaramanga.
Oh my God, it's the worst. Like I only lasted 45 minutes and I was just like, how is this still going on? The third nipple, you see it so many times, and then James Bond pretends to be Scaramanga, and he's got the third nipple in a different location because they'd never say like. But it was just, and they just kept putting it in weirder places all the time. It was never like next to one of the other nipples. It was always sort of like upper chest. And I don't understand. Like, anyway, okay.
I would only argue for the man with the golden gun just because Christopher Lee, to me, is the best Chris.
He's great, and I do love him, and I think he's fantastic. But it's such a terrible, stupid movie, and it does not hold up well.
I find that with all the early
James Bond movies are stupid. Every one of them. I have no idea what they're doing, why they're doing it. Makes no sense.
It's incredibly sexist.
Racist.
Oh my god!
Have
you seen Live and Let Die recently?
No.
Okay, so get this. Jane Seymour stars in it, right? And
I did see that a few years ago. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, and so Jane Seymour is this card reader that the bad guy in New Orleans uses to find out what he should do. But here's the catch. She loses her power once she loses her virginity.
Yeah.
And guess who takes it? Guess, come on. Guess.
James Bond, who has shaken but not stirred thousands of women in the grossest display of toxic virility. Yeah, we should leave all this in for sure. It's very important to Sister Act.
Well, digressions are a big part of all things.
Yeah, I mean, I will watch like a recent James Bond with
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig in it, but it feels like the older ones I just can't even watch because
they're all terrible.
Yeah.
I would rather watch like Sister Act 69. not like sorry. No, I didn't mean because it's like a porno. That was just like the number anyway. Sister Act like 104. Like I would rather watch 104 versions of Sister Act than watch like another early James Bond at this point. I just cannot.
I feel like the whole thing's done. I mean, I know another one was filmed and they keep saying it's coming out anytime soon. Don't care. Honestly, I don't know what happens in these movies. I don't understand their dumb titles like Quantum of Solace. I don't even know what that means. That just sounds like a name generator. Like there must be a James Bond movie name generator and they typed that in and it came back Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, you're right. So terrible.
So no James Bond on Pop This.
No, not until we get like our first gender flipped Jane Bond. Yeah. That was like our second episode ever where we like talked about all the gender flipped castings that we wanted to see happen. And several of them have come true since we recorded that episode almost 6 years ago. FYI.
Except for my desire to see an all women cast in Jaws.
I don't know if you brought that up.
No, I've never have. But now I'm thinking how much I would like to see that.
That would be great. But I mean, we'll go back to Sister Act for just a second.
What would they talk about on the boat for 6 hours?
Right? That would be so great. That scene where they have to do like the scars, the famous scar scene in Jaws.
Like, what would that be?
Oh, women have way more
scars.
Imagine?
Way more scars. Are you kidding me?
One person would have had some traumatic birth. One person would have had some kind of plastic surgery or maybe of some sort. Then there would be somebody else who, I don't know, like fell off a skate. I don't know. It would be good. I'm just saying.
Fell off skateboards. I bet at least one person would have been attacked by an animal at some point.
Yeah.
There would be like, obviously, like sort of, one person would have experienced traumatic violence. Like
I had a big burn on my neck once from like literally from a curling iron, like beauty or,
I
injuries.
think if Jaws was redone with women, they would have gone out in a bigger boat in the first place.
Oh,
agreed.
Slow clap.
Yeah. Also, 1,000%, the beaches just would have been closed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can.
I mean, you're right. Yeah. It would be that said, though, I am watching Line of Duty 4 and got a crooked cop, and she's a woman.
I mean, sure. Yeah. That's
the one I was talking about. Tandy Way Newton.
Yeah. That one. The Line of Duty 4. You've already seen it then. Yeah. Man, I love that show. Anyway, that's
we really got to get back to Sister Act.
Okay, Sister Act.
Well, and I mean, I to be fair, I think Sister Act also loses track of itself at some point in this film. It's bookended by these like sort of boring chase scenes, as we've talked about, and sort of like all this other stuff. So I mean, I guess like, you know, I didn't have as many problems with this movie. Do you think that I was just lulled by the musical performances and it because of my, it turns out, curious love of choral performance?
No, it's a very sweet movie. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm definitely going to give it the old pop because Whoopi Goldberg is charming. The cast is like way too good for this thing. So there's that too. But no, it has a lovely heart, and I just think it's almost like two movies.
I feel like the music is excellent.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
My God, I'm going to be singing that all the time now.
I was, and it's a funny movie, and I feel like, you know, it wasn't until I think when I went into it thinking, brace yourself, it's a musical. And then watching it and realizing the music is like really great and seamless and all kind of tunes, like 50s tunes, which is awesome. And then coming to the kind of rude awakening afterwards that it's not a musical, actually.
It's a Christian comedy.
It's a Christian
comedy. Which is also
comedy.
not a series I think we're going to do, because I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched a Christian comedy. So that is interesting.
Because I was after I finished watching it, I was about to be like, best musical ever.
We'll have to put out the official ranking at the end of our 8s here.
Well, so Sister Act 2, which I honestly don't know that I've seen. Maybe I did. I don't really remember it. Sister Act 2, which again turned around the very next year. So you wouldn't have time to have 6 people write it. You really only have time, I think, for one person or two. It has a 19% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Whereas the original Sister Act has 74% positive rating. Mm-hmm. But is it like ripe for like being reconsidered in 2019? Because a few people like really seem to champion it and want it like to sort of think about it again. David Dennis Jr. for The Undefeated, he talks about how it's become a classic in Black communities and that the sequel was set again in San Francisco, inner city, and focuses on urban kids trying to get their lives in order. And I won't read the whole quote, but he says, no matter when fans actually came across Sister Act 2, one thing remains true, even for audiences in 2019. The movie is a classic, and much of the love revolves around the music. Sister Act 2 presented a blend of gospel with the burgeoning hip-hop genre, as well as contemporary rhythm and blues. And it also stars a young Lauryn Hill and a young Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Well, that's what, he wrote that a lot of people are rediscovering it after the fact because they're Lauryn Hill fans. Mm. And there's like
I've
new
never
appreciation
seen it,
of it.
But I might watch it now. Just for
but just that it was like kind of slammed by reviewers because it wasn't it was not the same as Sister Act 1, and maybe these reviewers kind of didn't
which might be a good thing. So
but they didn't appreciate, like the sort of like how it was about the burgeoning hip hop genre, which like fans are going back and now recognizing that.
Right.
So, like, at the time, like, people were fine with sort of soulful adaptations of 50s pop and rock, but once you introduce hip-hop to it, a bunch of white film critics did not care for it?
Yeah.
Wild.
That's seems like that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it now. Like, I'm kind of excited to watch it now, because I really don't remember it at all.
Yeah. We should revisit.
But I love Lauryn Hill.
I think we should do that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, and we did want to do all of Whoopi's films at some point. So we should just check and see how many Whoopi films we've done. Because I remember us talking about this after Ghost. So
there's The Color Purple. Mm-hmm. Jumpin' Jack Flash. Boys on the Side. Girl Interrupted.
Which we have done.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah.
The Long Walk Home. Clara's Heart, Ghost of Mississippi. And then she's done a lot of she did voice in The Lion King.
Yeah. There's a lot of films there that we've never done. So that could be really great.
Yeah.
I like it.
Boys on the Side, I don't remember it being very good ultimately. But but I still think it like could be worth doing. But I've been reading some really incredible things about Jumpin' Jack Flash actually, because I think it just had like an anniversary. And I think that would be, because I've never seen that. Like I was, I think 7 years old when it came out. So I never got to see it when I was like younger. So I think it would be really interesting to step back in on that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, happy to do that too.
So fun. Are you excited about Sister Act 3, Tyler Perry and Whoopi Goldberg?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. Now, I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how Tyler Perry and Whoopi Goldberg work together. Like, I think it'll be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait.
Well, we're gonna do all the franchise then.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to all the franchise.
I think we should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is so good. So we do love to leave the episode with a rating. Does Sister Act pop?
Oh, I think so. Don't you?
Yeah, I agree.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
No, I'm not going. No, I liked it.
Best musical. Best musical. Honestly.
Honestly, I'm so glad that at least one of them you have, we've only done 2 so far. And I know this is not a classic musical, but I'm so glad that
Xanadu is still coming down the pipe.
I'm so glad that you found 1 out of 2 so far. That's pretty good.
I was thinking about you because after The Mirror with Two Faces ended, they put on Wine Country. And interestingly, I only really liked the beginning of that movie. I think I kind of, but anyway, when they were having their night of dancing, there was that really great scene where she's talking about how to put the playlist together, what songs to put on. And she said, well, anything from the Xanadu soundtrack. And then, of course, we were treated to it.
That's perfect. Well, we also love to leave our episodes on something we recommend that's, more contemporary sometimes, or maybe jumping back in time. So, Elisa, would you like to go first?
Well, speaking of that, brand new podcast that my friend alerted me to, my friend Bridget. So thank you, Bridget, because she texted me the little podcast picture. And Mr. Luke Danes, as we know him, but his actual real name is Scott Patterson, has a new podcast out about Gilmore Girls.
Really? I didn't know about that.
Oh, look at you. And it's called I'm All In.
And oh my God!
I know! I couldn't believe it! I'm going to leave that. If you're not a Gilmore Girls fan, that means nothing.
Should we do a podcast about a podcast?
Yeah. I can't. Anyway, yes. So there's only 1 episode up right now. It is just, like I said, it's just getting started. So the idea is that he hasn't rewatched the show or hasn't watched the show since I think it's 21 years now. And so he watched the pilot and he talked about that. And he had his first guest, who was Yannick Truesdale. Yes. Michelle, who is living or working right now in Australia with Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he's playing an angel in some... Guess who wrote this new show?
Ben Falcone?
Oh,
Ben Falcone?
Well done. But there's 2, they're working on 2 seasons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a really sweet interview. It was so fun. And they're both talking about their auditions and, what their favorite scenes were and what happened. And it quite interesting. Again, boy, this is a deep dive for Gilmore Girls fans. But he auditioned only, it was a bit part. A one-off.
Oh, wow.
Although he says he's not entirely sure because he's like, maybe they were just feeling out how things were going to go.
Secret. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that just started. There's only one episode. And next week, it's Sally Struthers.
Oh my God, I love Sally Struthers
is going to be the guest. But I think, luckily for him, it's such a huge cast.
Oh my God, there's tons of people.
Tons and tons of people.
Tons and tons of people. I'm so excited that Sally Struthers. Oh my God.
Yes, but anyway, it's been the most fun. It just started, so have at her, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. AG, what about you?
So I'm going to recommend something a bit different this week. I sewed this weekend the dress that I'm wearing. I'll stand up and show you.
Stand up. Let's see.
It's like a shapeless potato sack dress.
I love it. It's great.
But yeah, it took me like a weekend to sew it. So I'm just going to say, for people like me who maybe took a break from sewing for a long time, a lot of indie companies have emerged to make like patterns of like more, like kind of modern styles. Like I know that all of us are probably familiar with like McCall's or whatever.
Yeah. Those kinds of patterns.
Butterick, yeah.
Butterick, yeah.
But now there are like lots and lots of like indie designers that are making patterns and really cool clothes. And I ordered all the fabric online. Like Vancouver has Blackbird Fabrics and Spool of Thread. And they put all their fabrics online and make it really easy to order. And I would recommend choosing a simple pattern that's not fitted, just to make it easy on yourself. But yeah, it was a very satisfying experience to sew a garment over a weekend.
I'm amazed.
So I recommend it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so impressed. I'm so jealous. I think that's great and wonderful. Complete other opposite end. I decided to start watching Alias for the first time.
Oh. Jennifer Garner, Alias?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had never watched it the first time around. Or maybe I'd watched like maybe 1 or 2 episodes the first time around, but I'd never really watched it. And it started in 2001, so it's like the 20th anniversary this year. And some stuff doesn't hold up. I will be forthright in that. And it blends into sort of fantasy sci-fi a little bit more than I was anticipating. It's not really like a straight up sort of spy show at all. There's like a whole mythology around it, but of course there is because it's J.J. Abrams. But I'm pretty happy that I've done this.
Where
for
are you
myself.
watching it? On what?
It's
Netflix?
on Disney Plus. It's on
okay.
Disney Plus. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm only in season 2, but it's I like to watch TV while I'm doing the dishes, and this is a great show to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Put in my earphones, put my phone up in front of me, and just get to scrubbing.
So fun. Wow.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, Alias. Again, not everything holds up. There's some real bad stuff. Like, for example, brown face. No good.
Oh.
Bad.
Oh.
So you have to go in knowing that.
Okay.
Yeah. But
noted.
Contextually, still wasn't okay in 2001.
Yeah.
It's never okay. Never okay, friends.
Yep.
But yeah. Know that it was 2001. Again, still not okay.
Yes.
So this is our episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We've had some real wild recommendations.
Yeah.
And
I'll link to some of the dress patterns in our
please do
blog post. This company's called Merchant and Mills. I forgot to mention that. It's a British company.
Nice.
I like the name of that.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you everyone for listening. You can hang out with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com. You could also rate and review us on iTunes. 5 stars.
And thank you everyone for joining us. And to our wonderful producer, Andrea Gin, who's also our co-host and musical fan now.
At the very least, music movie fan.
Yeah. Or participant in this wild adventure with musicals.
Can't wait. Can't wait to keep going. 2 months. 2 months.
Yay. 2 down.
It's going to be so fun. 2 down,
Yeah,
6 to
go.
go.
There you go.
It's anyone's guess what we tackle next.
Yeah. Don't say.
I never like to say, but I do love to sneak instas of while I'm watching the show. Anyway, all right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.